Good morning. So we are here for doing the Uddhav Gita. We had completed in chapter 16 up to verse 36. So we are going to start verse 37 onwards. And today the subject that we are going to do is how does God take up the material forms? That means the Divine Lord, who is unmanifest in the form of Parabrahma, is taking the form of different things around us. How does that happen? So we will start from there. We are doing Uddhav Gita, chapter 16, the last message of Sri Krishna. We are doing verse 37. Strengthened by me, the infinite Brahma of limitless power. It is noticed as the subtle Om in beginning, like a slender fiber in a lotus stalk. Now, if you recollect, last time we had ended at a point where the Brahma is in the form of an Omkara. So, in that we had said that the manifestation of Brahma as the word which is conditioned by the pranas, the mind, the organ is more subtle, limitless, profound and unfathomable like the ocean. So we will do a combination of this verse and the next so that you get a clear understanding of the subject matter. This is a difficult subject, so we have to go about it very slowly and let us see if we can do something about it. Now, if we have to discuss about the Brahma by itself is the unmanifest. It's a very difficult subject to know. The unmanifest is not describable. If I try to describe in terms of words, it cannot be described properly. Because I can describe a manifest object. Manifest objects are seen, heard, touched, and so on and so forth. I can visualize them also. Visualization of an object which I have seen it maybe once or maybe by words which somebody says, I can visualize an object. Now let us say somebody says that there is a fruit and the fruit is like an apple. Then he says that it tastes like an apple. It has got seeds in it sometimes. And it is green in color. Now, the visualization skills which you have, you will arrive at a point where you will say an apple, green apple. And then you will say, oh, Granny Smith, green apple. So, you see, in your mind's eye, you visualize the object because at least there is some thing to go on. I have an apple, I know an apple looks like this, and then I just color it green in my mind. So I know green apple, Granny Smith. So basically, it's an understanding. Now the same thing can I apply it to the Parabrahma or the God Almighty. There is no description of God Almighty anywhere in this world. Nobody till today has ever been able to describe the Divine Lord. Even if the avatar of the Lord comes into the picture, let us say for example, Krishna or Jesus Christ or Buddha or for that matter anybody. If they come as a form and if you ask them, can you describe the Parabrahma, the unmanifest, beyond the unmanifest, can you describe the Father in heaven? There is no answer. Because there is no answer. At least you need have a yardstick to describe a green apple. You can start from somewhere. So the Parabrahma is indescribable. You cannot describe it at all. So when I have nothing to go by, I have a difficulty. So as a human being, we all face this difficulty of trying to understand the Parabrahma. It is impossible to know. And here he says, the manifestation of the Brahma as a word. I just now told you there are no words. Correct? But the manifestation of a Brahma as a word seems a little bit tough. So they say it was in the form of an a, u and a ma, which means Omkara. Omkara is nothing but what we call as a vibration. Now a vibration, what is a vibration? Can't say. Huh? We can just depict it in a wave form, in a kind of a wave. Then how does the manifestation happen? That is the difficult part. So I hope you understood. Now, the way in which we are trying to describe quantum theory is exactly the same. Is atom a solid structure? Something which I can actually understand in the form of a particle? Or is it a wave? Now this is a very, very difficult question to understand. Sometimes it's a wave, sometimes it's a particle, sometimes it's a wave particle, sometimes it is something else. And the quantum mechanics theory is like a mind-boggling one. Now when we are talking here in the material realm, science, in the spiritual world, exactly the problem. Omkara is a wave. What wave? A, U and Ma. Okay? A, U and Ma. See? Om. It's a wave. It's a vibration. And that is the reason why it is extremely difficult to grasp it. Now, can you catch this wave? No. In the physical world, I can catch a wave, I can surf on it. But in this spiritual world, to catch this wave of Omkar and surf on it is extremely difficult. Because I don't know. No manifest form of God also can explain this thing to you. Let me tell you this much. A manifest form of God, even if Jesus Christ or Krishna himself stands in front of you, they will not be able to tell you. Because they are manifest and they can only speak in words. And so this is a difficult part which we have to understand. So Sri Krishna is explaining to Uddhava, he says, the manifestation of Brahma as the word which is conditioned by the prana. The pranic energy, the life force, the force of life, everything which throbs, everything which is making, keep alive. The one which is alive. Now this wave, it has to be alive. Got it? Now just imagine, the wave is like this only. It's not alive. It can't be called a wave also. Just think about it. If I draw like this, and if I hold over there at one point, or if I hold at one point, is it a wave? No. Is it a particle? No. I don't know. It disappears. It doesn't exist. Now come to the point where he says it is dynamic. It has got an energy of movement, life force. The wave moves. Got it? So, in the beginning, when everything was nothing, something happened. That something happened is called motion, movement. That movement is described as the prana. Prana means that which is keeping it in a dynamic motion. Even in the pranic energy, don't we say that you are in a dynamic motion, a live state, a live state? Live, we are going live. 3, 2, 1, you're on. Like when they do this in the television, they see, na? Action, and then the camera comes on, and yes, you have to do the performance. That is it. But prior to the action, what are you? I'm waiting. I'm sure those who are watching me on Facebook or any of the live channels, the camera comes on 1 minute prior to the start. Nothing is happening. I am also not saying anything. I am not talking. I am doing something. I am just gathering myself for the blast, for the takeoff. Huh? Right? Or if you have seen that Elon Musk's, that rocket which went to the International Space Station, definitely it blasted off at a particular point. Now that blast off. So that trigger happens. Tick. But potentially, the potential, those who understand a little bit of physics and chemistry and all these subjects, for them, there is that sense of now I have to begin. And we gather all the energies together to begin. You do it in your examination. You see, you're sitting in an examination hall, and the paper is being distributed to you. First, they give you the answer sheets. Answer sheets are blank. You have to write on it. Then they give you the question sheets. The question sheets are given to you and they are kept in front of you. And when the bell rings, tung, you start. When the bell rings, you want to start. You start writing like that. As if it is the best, the only thing that you go to. That is the highest potential that you have reached. You are on the verge of takeoff, like that. So did you get the whole point of it? So the Brahma takes a form of a sound, in the form of a wave. It's a kind of a vibration. A, U and Ma. Om. Did you get it? Sine curve. Yes, sine curve, of course. So it's like a sine curve. So it's like a vibration. You've seen waves if you throw a stone in the pond, the waves are coming like that. So it's like that. And then he says, conditioned by prana. Condition means what? It is moving in a form. If the form was like this, like this, like this, like this, like this, like this, it's an uneven form. You have to move in a rhythmic form. The rhythm is set by life force. Everything has to move. Sine curve has to move in a rhythmic form. Life has to move in a rhythmic form. See, rhythm is there in everything. Alright? Rhythm is there in the sun, in the moon, in the waves, in your life. Rhythm is there. The sun rises at a particular point, sets, rises again, sets again, rises again, sets again, rises again, sets again. And then it has two things, which is the center portion. If I take the line, the axis, the y-axis and the z-x-axis, the x-axis and the y-axis. Like basically you have to understand the dividing line. Dividing line is the kumbhaka, the place where neither sunrise nor sunset. So like that, in your life also it's like that. You also live in a biorhythm. Your biological clock works in a rhythmic fashion. You go to sleep at a particular hour. That is provided you are following the life rules, okay? If you are not following them, then I can't help you. We have to just take a general case. Okay, a general case is a person who is normal, a normal human being, not an owl. So a normal human being follows a general pattern. In the general pattern, he goes to sleep, wakes up, goes to work, goes like that. The pattern is there. Even if you have to eat, drink, and all, there is a pattern, isn't it? You follow a pattern, you follow a rhythm. So that is why in your life also there is a biorhythm. You see, in men, they don't have the the monthly cycles like a woman has. That is what is thought of. I'm sorry, it is there, but you don't know about it. The difference is men also have, but they don't know about it. Women have, you can go through their cycles. You can actually see the cycle, how it works. It's a rhythmic cycle. In men also, it's a rhythmic cycle. In animals also, it's a rhythmic cycle. Now, if you really think it is not there, go and watch all the animals around you. They follow a pattern, exactly the pattern like human beings. And that is why it is a rhythmic pattern. So it is conditioned by the pranas. This is conditioned by the life force. The mind, the organ is more subtle. Conditioned by the pranas on one side, the mind, how you think about it. See, mind is a very important tool for everything. If you want to do anything in the world, mind is a tool. Did you get it? It's a tool. It's an important tool. Now, today, what is the most important tool that you have in the world? Think about it. Every day, what is the most important tool for a mankind in current era? Do you know what it is? It's called your cell phone. It's a tool. You get up in the morning, you look at your cell phone. How many messages? Who said this? What happened? You look at your mails, you look at the news, you see the things that are happening around you, you go on the social media, you try to find out, you see the calls that are there, you see the missed calls, you see your daily activity, your diary, okay, your calls, your appointments, everything. It also tells you your, okay, today is someone's birthday, tomorrow is somebody's this, the whole thing is given. Then the next thing that you do is you monitor your health also. The health checkup is now there on that. The health checkup is there on your phone, as well as the small device that you have. Maybe you have a watch or something like that. It is there on that. So you monitor it. What was your biorhythm? How did you sleep in the night? It is monitoring constantly. If there is a blip in it, you were dreaming. There was something in the break. There was something happening. So you check your phone and you see the results over there. Nowadays, you can check on your phone. Even the baby's camera is connected to your phone. The baby is sleeping in another room. You don't have to get up and see. The camera is on. You can in the dead of the night also you can say, oh, baby is fast asleep. You can see that. Yeah. You can monitor even your office spaces. You can do so many things. All right. Now, this is IoT, Internet of Things. You can put on the light, not even getting up from your bed. On your phone, tick, tick, and the light is on. The AC can be controlled. Everything is literally like your phone, isn't it? In the phone. That is your monitoring device. That's the first thing that is connected to you. And that is what he says. Everything passes through that. Those who are used to the phone, their life depends on it. Right? You know the telephone numbers, you know the date of birth, you know what to send, what to receive, when are things happening, how is your heartbeat, what is your pulse, what is this, what is that, how many steps you took, whose appointment is there today. Everything is there on the phone. Now think, in your body, what is that? It's a device, and this device has been provided to us by the divine. And this device is called the mind. The mind is the repository of everything that you do. It is also going to tell you today is your girlfriend's birthday, wish her. And then it will also tell you, if you don't, you see the whole point of it? If you forget, did you buy the gift? Huh? So this is the way your mind talks to you. So mind is like the cell phone. It's a help. It helps you. But just the way the cell phone is nowadays used for the purpose of playing games, surfing for porn, and doing all kinds of wrong things in the world. People are using WhatsApp group for selling drugs, for selling wrong kinds of things, for prostitution. You can use the cell phone for all bad purposes also. Mind is exactly like that. It's a tool which can be used for good purposes or bad purposes. And that is where you have to be very careful. How you use your cell phone in life? It has to be productive. Or you can use it for the bad purpose. Your mind can tell you, oh, I am depressed. I don't know what is happening around me. The whole world is crumbling. Everything is going for a toss. You know, these kind of words come from your mind also. This person is so mean to me. Look at him, he is so bad. Mind is judgmental. Phone is not. The only thing is, phone is not yet adaptable to artificial intelligence. Just little bit it is, little bit. The new chip which Apple has introduced in your phone, that chip in the next iteration, it will be doing a lot of AI jobs also. That time it can take decisions, a lot of decisions for you. But till then you have to wait. It is introduced just now in the laptop, but it is still not there in the phone. It is not put on. The signal is not put on. You're still not in 5G. You're still in 4G some places. So did you get the point? Your decision making by your mind is advanced than any of the chips in the world. So here, the mind is also very, it gives you decisions, like, don't talk to him. Shh, be quiet, like that. It will tell you, oh, look at her. She's so sweet looking. She's so good looking. So the mind is a tool. You got to use it properly. Don't misuse it. So Sri Krishna is explaining how this whole thing happened. The word created the wave. The wave in turn got into life. Okay, it became alive. The mind was the factor which created the dynamism in it. Should I do this or should I do that? The dynamism. See, the wave is the one which is being pushed ahead by the life force. The life force job is to push it, push it, push it, push it. Which direction to take? Up, down, right, left, or completely into the gutters. That is done by your mind. So mind is an important tool, right? Then he says, conditioned by prana, the mind and the organs is more subtle. By the organs. Organs are useful for activity purposes. Eyes to see, ears to hear, nose to smell, tongue to talk and to taste, hands, legs. These are basically activities. You require the tool for dynamism. Tools. These are basically the tools. One more tool. Mind is the one which will give you decisions. This way, this way, this way, this way. Like that, sway, sway, this way. Got it? So it can sway you whichever way. Up, down, right, left. Can depress you and it can give you the high also. So this is what the previous verse was talking about. And it is in the subtle form. It cannot be seen or experienced or and it is limitless, profound, deep, very deep and limitless. So in this verse he says, all this which is not understood by you, but just now I explained some things to you, okay? It is unfathomable. It cannot be understood that way. So he says, strengthened by me, the infinite Brahma of limitless powers. Strengthened by the divine. The divine is the unmanifest. Beyond the unmanifest is the divine. Remember this. And when it is taking this form, I am strengthening it. My divinity is in it. I am making it move. The movement is because I am pushing the whole thing out of it. That infinite Brahma of limitless power, it is noticed as the subtle Om in the beginning, like a slender fiber in a lotus stalk. So now we come back to the same line. It is noticed as an Om. I told you it's in the form of a wave, sine curve, correct? Huh? U and Ma. So he says you can notice it in the form of an Omkara. You can notice it in the form of an Om. Look at how the Om is. When we write it, it is like this, Chandrabindu. That's it. We write it this way, with a tail. Om, like that. You know, isn't that how we write it? Now visualize it like that. So all this is now manifesting itself in the form of this subtle sound. Subtle sound, you can't use your ears to hear it, by the way. The Om is not a thing that can be heard. Okay, please understand. I can say Om, I can keep on saying Om all the time. You can hear this Om. But this is not in the subtle kind. This is in the manifest kind, the one which is gross kind, you can hear it. And that is how it is manifesting itself. I told you, whether it's a wave or a particle, a wave, particle, wave, particle, wave, particle, wave, how does it move? This way, this way, this way, this way, which way? Now we are coming to the point of ejection, the point where takeoff, I was telling you, the takeoff point comes. And this is the point where we are in just now, strengthened by me. Sri Krishna says, I am the one who is giving it the power, the Shakti, the power in it to strengthen itself. This infinite Brahma, this limitless power, I am giving it by my strength, this limitless power in the Brahma. So it is noticed as a subtle Om. It is actually noticeable as an Omkara. In the beings, everything has got a vibration. Like the slender fiber in a lotus stalk. Okay. Now, you will want to know a little bit whether noticed in all beings, is it noticeable in you? You are a human being. Those who are listening to me must be human beings, I'm sure. So, is that thing noticeable in you? Go and conduct a small test for yourself. Write down your diary. I know I'm asking for the impossible from you. But for the sake of spiritual knowledge, at least try it out, no? Write your diary. In that diary, you say what time you opened your eyes. In your diary, write down what time you woke up. Opening eyes doesn't mean waking up, by the way. People will open their eyes, but they will still be lying like that in bed. They'll look at the ceiling, or they will take the phone from their side. You should watch those fellows, like me especially. Those who have to wear glasses. First they have to search for the glasses. Where have they kept? So after they search for the glasses, then they'll put it on and then they will open their phone and see. like that. And you write it down. Whatever is happening, write it down. If you write down the activity that you do in the whole day, you write down, I woke up at this hour, I saw my phone. Then you see, in your phone, there is a particular thing which is telling you how many times you went to the phone. Do you know that? Every time when you open the phone is recording you. It tells you which app you opened. It tells you you were on Facebook 43% of the time. So much of energy used up, so much of battery used up. It will tell you actually. So go to your phone and see for yourself. See, I told you, nowadays everything is monitored by means of your phone, isn't it? So you have that wristband. Some people call it wristband, some people call it watch, or whatever you call it, it's a health thing. Okay. Now it is connected to you and it is giving you results either in that or in your phone or in your laptop or somewhere. Go see for yourself during the course of the day. What was your breath like? Whether you are panting, whether you are running, how many steps you took. Isn't that what is written? So in the same way, write it down somewhere. It is for your understanding. Remember, I know you will not do it, but at least, maybe one person in the thousands who might be watching this video in the future will do it. I don't know. Or maybe you will have some assistant who is going to do it. So write it down. When you write all these things down in the day, what time you got up, what time you went to the bathroom, how much time you took for brushing your teeth, did you shave, did you not shave, what happened, how did you have your breakfast, what breakfast. If you actually record your whole day, you record your whole day and do it for a couple of days. You should do it for a couple of days. And when you do it, you will find that there is a subtle rhythm in it. Rhythm. It is like you stand in front of the mirror, the lazy way. You are doing it every day. There, if you are not a dynamic person, you will be and if you have a dog or a cat or something like that, you know the way how you are playing with it, what you are doing with it. So all this is happening. You see how you work out in the whole day. When you do this analysis, maybe a week later or maybe 10 days later, do it. If you really want to actually grow in this world, you will find that there is a specific rhythm. You follow a trajectory, a path. You follow that in a particular manner. Your movement can be understood. Then you can judge for yourself whether you are tamasic, rajasic or sattvic. Your activities will tell you. Think about it. You are supposed to be a spiritual person. And in your spiritual world, you are supposed to read at least half an hour or 15 minutes a day of a spiritual text. In your analysis, you will come to know, oh, the first day I read it because I wanted to know how things are. So I read it for 16 minutes. Then I got bored. Next day, I did not read. The third day, I took the book but I kept it aside. The fourth day, I didn't even go near the book. The fifth day, I thought that I will take some time out and read. So I read the preface. Little bit on the top what is written. Okay. And then the sixth day, I don't think I had any time because I had to go out. Seventh day, nothing happened. Eighth and the ninth day, oh, I thought I should read. And on the ninth day, I read it. So if you do this kind of an analysis, you will find that 15 minutes or 16 minutes in the beginning and the ninth day, you read it for even just 5 minutes. Now you will understand what your rhythm is like. How much effort do you actually put in life? And I can assure you, I can guarantee you today. It's a written guarantee if you want. Guruji's written guarantee. You are never going to do it. Because the kind of effort that is required to do specific activity continuously, consistently, absolutely in a rhythmic fashion, human beings cannot do it because of one subtle factor. It's called the mind. The mind is an unruly character. You have never been able to control it. That is why you cannot put it in the rhythm. And now you will understand at the end of the 9th and the 10th day, when at the end of the 10th day or the 15th day, you have written down everything. And you, by the way, by the time you come to the 3rd and the 4th day, you are just trying to not write it, okay? You will stop writing. And maybe in the 4th and the 5th and the 6th and the 7th day, after the 7th day, you will say, oh my God, I didn't write it for the last 4 days. And whom are you going to write it for? Guruji? No. You are writing it for yourself. And you think you are really going to write it? No. Because there is nobody sitting on top of your head to write it for you. No. At least you are having a little fear that Guruji will ask me 1 week later, did you do this? In shame, at least I will write. On the 7th and the 8th day, I will write for 4 days at a time. I will copy it. But you are not being truthful to yourself because the consistency is not there. The rhythm is not there. The Omkara, which comes in the form of a steady rhythm, doesn't exist. And this is the main issue which you will come to know in the next verse, why this issue is so crucial to you. If you do not understand the importance of what I am speaking just now, this satsang is going to be waste on you. So better don't do it. Don't join also. You can just mark yourself absent and get out of here. The rhythm has to be followed. You have to do it rhythmically in a specific manner. If you have, the reason why discipline is so very important for the rhythm to be set. The universe works in the rhythm. The entire universe works in the rhythm except human beings. Human beings never work in any form, pattern. We like to break everything. And that is the chaos that is setting in. So, he says it is noticed in the subtle Om, the beginning like a slender. So, I was telling you it is noticed. So, if you actually do it, write your diary, write your things down, you will find that you will notice this rhythm in it. Even your laziness is a rhythm. You can find your laziness. Some people will join my satsang once in a while. I don't have anything to say to them because they are lazy. They find excuses. They don't want their spiritual development. They say, I need it, I want it, I want it, I want it. I want to become spiritually perfect. But sir, if you want to become spiritually perfect, why are you not being regular in it? What is your problem in life? You are regularly doing other things, no? Like I said, how much do you read? No. You don't read. You don't listen. So this is, rhythm has to be set. And this is what he says, you notice it. Notice in the universe there is a rhythm. It's in the form of an Omkara. Everything is in the rhythm. The sun is rhythmic. It is following a pattern. It is following a wave pattern. The waves are following a wave pattern, particular pattern. The atmosphere is. the whole universe follows it. You will find that even in space, outer space also, everything is following a pattern. Like I said, except you. So, you see for yourself and then follow it. So, we go to the next verse now. Right? We are doing chapter 16 from the Uddhav Gita. Now, this is a new verse. These are, I think, combination of 3 verses total. It is 38 to 40. As the spider projects its web from the heart through its mouth, so the immortal Lord Hiranyagarbha, the cosmic prana, whose form is the Vedas, projects out of the subtle Om from the space of his heart through his mind, which scans the entire alphabet, the infinite mass of words known as the Vedas. These issue in 1,000 channels, are enriched with the consonants classified into the Sparsha, Antashta and the Ushma group, and the vowels all fashioned by the subtle Om. These are expressed in diverse form of language by means of meters with 4 additional letters in each succeeding variety, and Hiranyagarbha again binds all up. It seems like a very difficult verse, isn't it? Yeah, of course. I will give you a simple explanation. Simple explanation for simple minds. Listen to it. The detailed explanation, I think I will do it tomorrow, but listen to this explanation. Everything is happening in your material life also. I am giving as an example. Now think about the example. Everything is happening. So how does it begin and how does it progress and how does it end? From beginning to the end, a life story of anything in this world. Let us take a simple example. A simple example of maybe cooking. If I have to begin the process of cooking, I'm just going to make a rice. Alright? I have to make rice. What is it that I got to do? First, I got to have the ingredient called rice. Is that correct or no? Right. Then I need water for it. If I don't have water, can I cook the rice? No. Vessel. Do I need the vessel? Yes. I need a vessel. Do I need a fire? Yes, I need a fire. Do I need a fireplace? Yes, I need a fireplace. In current language, it will be, your gas stove or whatever, electric stove or something like that. Do you require the gas? Of course you require it. Then why are you talking about it? Yes, you require it. Alright? Then, do you require a space where you are going to cook it? Of course, don't be stupid. I need a kitchen for it, See, you need a kitchen. Now, for making all this come together, do I need you? You are the human being that is required. Or somebody to cook it, isn't it? At least a servant, at least somebody to cook it for you. Maybe your mother, wife, you yourself, your children, somebody has to cook it for you. It has to cook for a certain amount of time. Then you have to switch it off. Right or wrong? This is a process. Apply the project management rules over here. PMP. You see the whole thing is nothing but a process. I took the stupidest and the simplest example of cooking rice. For what purpose? Did you forget the purpose? Of course there is a purpose for making the rice. You have to eat it with your sambar or some, I don't know what, rasam or something like that. Correct? Good. For what purpose? To satisfy your stomach, the hunger that you will have. So, how many ingredients got involved in it? Too many, too many. Now, come back to the first place. What did we start with? We started with rice. Correct? Suppose you don't know the language. And the person who is listening, two people are there. You and your servant. Your servant doesn't understand the language. You said the words cook rice. 1 katori of rice for me. That fellow never understood what is katori, what is rice. Because you are a North Indian, he is a South Indian. Your language, chawal. Their language, something else. Katori, their language is something else. If his language and your language are not matching, you have the biggest problem in your life. Language is important. Communication is important. In all this, did you see communication was important? Forget about the rice. Now let us come to water. If your person doesn't know how much water to put, you said, 1 कटोरी के लिए 2 कटोरी पानी. And that fellow put, 20 katoris pani in it. Finished. Your story is over there. Because you're not going to get rice. You're going to get, only water. Got it? So communication, the right words, the right sound, the right syllables is important. If you do not know the language, if your language skills are bad, how can you convey some information to another person? You will not be able to convey information to another person. Now you may say, Guruji, why are you telling us all these things? In your own life, communication is a problem. Have you noticed it or no? Those who are working for some companies, organizations, your boss has said to do something. He has not communicated properly to you. And you mess up the whole thing. Because he has not told you correctly. You know how difficult it is? So in your own life, if your communication is not correct, you yourself are going to fail. Your boss is going to be angry with you. You may get thrown out because you never understood anything. And you will still blame the boss for saying, उसको बराबर बोलने को क्या होता है? वो he should have told me correctly, no? Why didn't he tell me correctly? It is his fault. So did you get it? The understanding has to be correct, which means communication has to be perfect. So if I say 1 vessel of rice has to be made, I have to specify it perfectly in the right words. If I do not specify, there is going to be a mess up. So in life also, please remember this important lesson. If you do not communicate properly, you are going to make a big mess of your life. So please learn the art of communication correctly, properly. You should say the right words. I made a mistake, you know. This is what you say. How can you say you made a mistake? You cannot say that. A little mistake can destroy an entire spacecraft. Billions of dollars worth of space, whatever that they have invested in it, will go down the drain. Little miscommunication. A little miscommunication. And our Chandrayaan didn't land at the right place. A little miscommunication. And things can go out of hand. Massive problems can happen. So in this material world also, when the Lord made everything, He wrote it in a communication form. It is called the framework. Do you understand? Everything was written in a framework, word to word. Those who know how to cook now don't refer to that. But those who don't know how to cook and certain things, don't you go and listen to the YouTube or whatever, or maybe look it up in a book or something like that, the vidhi, the method, the methodology. Even in your own company, you have to follow a method. There is a blueprint which is there. The blueprint is very important. It's a communication blueprint. It's a blueprint for doing everything systematically. So now we come to the part of what is written in the verse. In the verse, it is very clearly mentioned how the Lord defined how things have to fall in place. They were defined in the form of Vedas. It is the framework on which this entire creation has happened. Everything is written in a perfect manner. The job of Mother Nature, is to actually follow that framework. If she doesn't follow the framework, everything is going to go for a toss. You get the point or no? You can't make an omelette otherwise. So the universe follows this particular framework because it is written. The written framework in our scriptures is called the Vedas, the word of the Lord. God's words. They are written. The Vedas are nothing but scriptures which are written for the proper movement and dynamism required in this world, for making things work in a particular manner. In this verse, it is explained how every letter is significant. Every letter is significant. Every word has a value. Those who know how to do the programming language, there are lots of you over here who have learned programming, isn't it? If I do something, even one small error in my programming, does the program work? No, it doesn't work. Does it? It is a failure. So I have to go back to my, code and see whether the code is correct or no. I have to make those changes in the code. In the code, the one who writes the code should know exactly how to write it. When I write it correctly, the answers are going to be correct. But if I make one small error also, my entire thing will go to waste. So I have given you an understanding. Now I will tell you how this code is important. Think what I said just now. In your body, everything is in the form of a code. Your eyes, even the smallest of the cell has a code in it. There is a framework on which the code is sitting. It is using that framework. The distinguishing of the colors from your eye. You distinguish color. This is red, this is green, this is yellow, this is orange, this is blue. Do you distinguish the colors? Yes. The color distinction is known because of the intricate code that is there inside your eye. So the creation of anything which manifests in this world, anything which comes out in this world, you also have come out in this world. Remember this, you were born one day. And you are a complete database from top to bottom of written code. You have eyes in specific place, you have nose in specific place, you have your mouth in space, you have your ears, your hair, everything is in the right place. Your heart has to be correctly in its place. It has to do the job in a particular fashion. That is the code. Please understand this. If your aorta is in the wrong place, sir, you will get into trouble. You see, you have auricles and ventricles. Auricles are on top, ventricles are down. Now suppose there is a reverse process. From below it is pumping up. Sir, you will be dead in that instant. So is it not important for the blood to flow in a particular fashion? When your brain needs the blood, the carotid artery has to provide for it. If it doesn't provide for 1 minute, a certain amount of time and you will be brain dead. So do you understand? You are following a rhythmic pattern. Do you get what I am trying to tell you? If the code is wrong, even that little code is wrong, do you understand how difficult it is? So you are written in a particular coded fashion. It follows the framework which is there called the Vedas. The Vedas are the framework for anything to be operated in this universe. It is nothing but written in a coded fashion. Now, let us come to the letters. The letters are the way in which the code has been written. If one letter is transferred from here to there or there to there, you know you can get in trouble. And these are called the goddesses, the letters. And their particular form is called the goddesses. Goddesses are nothing but Shakti, power. If I misplace the letters from here to there when you are writing your computer coding, if you misplace one word here to one letter here to there, you can get into trouble. Isn't that correct? In the same way, in this universe, the creation of this universe, everything was coded and written in a particular fashion, in a particular manner, where one letter has to come, where the second letter has to come, where the third letter has to come. Everything was properly written. Then only it gives the right results. This is the general explanation of these 3 verses put together. Tomorrow when we join again, I will give you the actual meaning of these words. so that you will get to know the spiritual aspect of it. But now, I am sure you have got an understanding from the material worldly example that I gave you. So, here you have to know how this whole system works. Got it? So, I'll take your leave now. You have a great day ahead and take care. Bye. See you all tomorrow.